January the 20th, 2026. All members are present. I stand for a pledge of allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ollie, you want to read the rules there for us?
According to the current policy on public participation at board meetings, there is a provision that the President Grimes would like for me to read tonight. The presiding officer may interrupt, warn, or terminate a participant's statement when the statement is too lengthy, personally directed, abusive, obscene, or irrelevant. 2, he can request an individual to leave the meeting when that person does not observe reasonable decorum. Number 3, request the assistance of law enforcement officers in the removal of a disorderly person when that person's conduct interferes with the orderly progression of the meeting. Number 4, call for a recess or an adjournment to another time when the lack of public decorum so interferes with the orderly conduct of the meeting as to warrant such action. And number 5, waive these rules with the approval of the board when necessary for the protection of privacy or the administration of the board's business.
Before we get into the meeting, I'd like to say something. Especially me and Frosty come into this 2 years ago, Frosty, a year and a half ago, and we was kind of blind by what we was seeing. And the other 3 board members that was on here at the time was fed a blanket of roses. They was told that everything was perfect. Now, a lot of people in the public knew that this wasn't perfect because I got a lot of calls, and I'm sure Frosty probably did too. But we really did not know what we was walking into. We had no idea how bad this was until the state came in. And whenever they wrote up everything, and then we got to see it along with everybody else, the general public and everybody else, exactly what they found. But I can tell you this, for the last year and a half, along with Dr. Williams, we have worked diligently to put this Pocahontas County Board of Education back on track. We have made numerous trips to Charleston, had meetings with the State Department, went in front of the State Board of Education, and hopefully, in February, we will get released from that. But it's hard to do whenever we come back to Pocahontas County and everybody's telling us what a bad job we're doing and how we shouldn't be doing things that has been recommended by the state. We have to do that. The positions that you're seeing that's going to be abolished tonight, there's no study teacher in them positions. We're not cutting any AP classes. Not one of them has a study. The social studies job I'm well aware of because my daughter taught there. She resigned that position 2 years ago. We have had that job posted ever since she left. We've never found a certified applicant for that job.
Yeah.
The business job, we got in a long-term sub right now. That's, you know, whether he's doing the job or not, I have no idea. But what it is a body in that class. With abolishing them positions, Dr. Williams can get in a little bit more about how we are going to create different avenues, would you say, or different classes to make up for them positions that we think the kids of Pocahontas County deserve. Now, we're not in this for the entitled few, and we're not in it for the bottom few. We are entitled. We're in it for all the students in Pocahontas County, every one of them. You know, they start out in kindergarten and they go to the 12th grade, and a lot of people expect them to all run the same race. Well, that don't happen because kids have different abilities. They don't run the same race. Some of them require more help than others, but we're for all them kids. And I can tell you, sitting on this board, all 5 of us, we've had discussion after discussion about it. We're for the children of Pocahontas County. And I can tell you, since Dr. Williams come on board, she's done a heck of a job, and she's for the kids of Pocahontas County. And we're going to get this thing turned around, but we need your help in doing that. It's not like going out there and saying we're abolishing AP classes. You know, whenever I was on the board before, several years ago, we put them classes in place. I wouldn't vote to abolish one of them because it saves parents in Pocahontas County $10,000, $15,000 when their kids go to college. I'm not going to abolish that. We're not going to do it. And whenever it was up, the last time to do that, I was running and campaigned against doing it. I'm not going to abolish them classes, and I don't think any of us would if we knew exactly what it meant. But I just want to state that before we get started, because it is really tough whenever you come back and we hear all the stuff on Facebook about how we'd be better off if the state took us over. Well, let me tell you a little bit about what happens if the state takes us over. We'll have one school located somewhere probably around Pocahontas County High School. It's going to be hard to look at that little kindergartner coming off the Cedar Mountain at 6 o'clock or 5:30 in the morning or on top of Hilton County and tell them they got to get on a bus and ride to the high school. So that's what you're up against. So we need to really work hard at keeping this school system in our hands. Okay, the first is it, what's that name?
Rufus?
Rufus Morgan?
Rufus Morgan.
Is that it?
Hi, my name is Rufus Morgan, and I am a sixth grader at Green Bank School. I think that cutting the positions of vice principal, special education teacher, science teacher, fourth grade teacher, and counselor would not be a good decision because we are already struggling enough. Having Miss Schaffner increased scores in math, reading, and attendance. So even though she was a vice principal, she was also supporting students and staff. We do have teachers, we do have a science teacher and a fourth grade teacher, but they are both long-term subs. So one, they could not be fully qualified for the job, and two, they could walk out any day, leaving the position open again. We have counselors from Youth Health Services coming every Wednesday to our school, but some kids, they could need counseling every single day. Our school has dealt with a lot of death, having a coach recently die, and it could be hard for students to focus during school hours dealing with death. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rufus.
Amy?
Hi, everybody. I'm Amy Henry Morgan. I'm a parent at Green Bank. Rufus is my son. I also have a daughter who's in third grade, Luna. And really, I'm here tonight so that as a community and as a county, we're a huge county, right? So there's tons of information disseminated in different ways. And I know being from the northern end of the county, people feel forgotten. I think the same can be said for Hillsborough folks. So we've got this huge county, and I think what we really want is transparency with the county budget. So you're saying, okay, we're going to abolish all these positions. Then what? What's the plan? We want to know the plan. We want to have it spelled out for us and in an easily readable online. Okay, everyone can read this and understand this, because I'm on the website today and I'm not quite sure, I'm trying to find this or trying to read this. And yeah, there's the agendas and there's the minutes from every meeting, and that's great. But I think we need to understand the plan, understand, okay, you went to the state, you went to Charleston, who did you talk to and who advised that you cut these positions? And then what? Then what? My daughter's going into fourth grade. I know that there are 26 fourth graders at Green Bank that have one teacher. So 15 of those kids probably are not at the reading level that they should be, are not at the math level that they should be. And so they're going into fourth grade, and what's going to happen? They're just going to keep falling behind. And then by eighth grade, are they going to hit the level? Pocahontas County, all of West Virginia, all of our numbers are suffering. But what we saw when we had an assistant principal, and I know that's not the only position that we need, but when we had her, we had increased attendance. We had every single school grade, every grade had increased reading, increased math, increased attendance. She helped with counseling. We needed that. We have 4 students that died in the last 5 years, which is insane for a small community. That is just awful. Then in December, a coach passes away. So, like Rufus said, there are kids that need, we have a shared counselor between Hillsborough and Green Bank, and sometimes we have them 2 days a week. Usually we don't. If we're lucky, we get them 1 day a week. And that I know that, we are a small population and a huge county, and therefore we don't have as many people applying for these positions. But what are we doing to entice the graduates? To bring them back, to say, this is where you want to work, and this is the community that you want to live in and work in. So I just want to know what your plan is. So what the financial plan is, what the budget is, where this money's going to go if those positions are taken away. I know no one's going to lose their job, and I heard that the high school is going to get a new graduation coach, which is great. But what are the other options? Like, what else is happening? What are the positives that are going to come out of these cuts? Thank you.
Dr. Williams, you want to address some of that?
You want to wait to the end of the delegation? Or you want to
Probably,
address her right now?
yes.
Well, for your particular position, the assistant principal's job was part of your school improvement funding. So the funding source for that position doesn't exist anymore. It's just like the ESSER funding that they talk about. They hired people that were temporary, and that was always a position that wasn't going to be kept. As for your counselor, I have tried to recruit, I have tried to contract, I have looked high and low for counselors. It's not just a shortage here in Pocahontas County. It's a shortage across the state with counselors. It's an issue. It's the only certification that doesn't have an alternate pathway. Is that correct?
You need
So-
60 extra hours, and it's really hard to find. Yeah, I've looked
Yeah,
into.
that's like a state certification issue.
Yeah,
So I'm not sure why that certification issue is like that, because in other positions, we can get teachers that apply for them and put them on permit.
Yeah.
And Ollie works on our certification, but that is a position that we cannot put on permit. Is that?
okay. And aside from that, I realized that the director positions, that we have 7 in this county,
Mhm.
I feel that some of that funding could be better utilized for the teaching positions.
Mhm.
And I know that's not my job to decide who to delegate money to, but I feel that the central office has quite a healthy budget compared to these schools that are losing teachers. So that was my last comment. Thank you.
you.
Willa Hardy?
Good evening, board members, parents, staff, students, and community members. My name is Willa Hardy, and I'm a sophomore at Pocahontas County High School. I'm here tonight as the sophomore class president, but more importantly, I'm speaking as a person who has a vested interest in this school system succeeding. I emphasize this last part because I want to point out that for the board members in this room, the decisions that you make daily are your job, something you chose and campaigned to take part in. I have no such choice. The outcomes of meetings like this have an undeniable effect on the entirety of my future, which means that my peers and I have more at stake than anyone else. This point is applicable to anything this board does, but especially something as impactful as the loss of educators at my school. At the LSIC meeting on Friday at PCHS, Ms. Bland was the first to inform the attendees that the end goal of these removals is to transition to a different schedule with completely different avenues for getting required credits. Despite the promised positive outcome that these cuts are to have on our school, how was it even suggested before getting staff and especially student input? I want to be in a school system where my voice is heard and valued, particularly when it comes to decisions that change the opportunities that are available to me. There are many resources available to you to get the opinions of others. Unfortunately, we have no student representative in place despite students' best efforts, but you could have utilized the student council or the LSIC that are in place at the high school for this exact purpose. The final point that I would like to make tonight is that the claim that no one is losing a job as a result of these changes is something that I just strongly disagree with. We are not speaking about empty classrooms or positions that no one will fill. There are real people in those social studies and English posts, people who spend every day giving all that they can to help our students succeed. Long-term sub or not, they are paid employees of this county and they deserve the basic respect of recognition. I hope that we can all find agreement on the fact that anyone who serves in any of our schools, regardless of certification, is incredibly valuable and beneficial to our education system. Board members, I ask you to delay any vote involving personnel changes tonight until we can give students and staff the opportunity to understand and give feedback to any new proposals. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Josh Hardy.
Thank you all for your time this evening. Just wanted to let you all know that the high school LSIC met on Friday evening to kind of just understand what was going on with the proposed staffing changes at the high school, specifically the elimination of 3 teaching jobs and the counselor position. And I think kind of what came out of that meeting is that this plan might be a very good plan. I mean, in the sense that it could very well alleviate inefficiencies in the scheduling, in staffing, and it could allow us to put our resources towards other things that would be beneficial for the high school. However, I think what also came out of it is that there's kind of 3 big concerns that still remain as to whether this plan can actually work. The first concern is that in order for this plan to work, to eliminate these positions and still have a manageable schedule at the high school, we're going to have to move to a block schedule. And that seems to be something that's very achievable and that the teachers and the staff up there support and in fact want to do. However, there are still some very concerns that the state had issues with that at the beginning of the year. That when we had proposed returning to a block schedule, which we had used, I think, 3 or 4 years ago, the state put up some red flags on that. And so if the state is again going to tell us no block schedule at the high school, or that's going to violate some policy of the state, then it would seem that this plan is off to a very bad start. If the state does permit the block schedule, we have to have this embedded CTE program in place, and that's not in place yet. We had it in place, but the state, when they came in and took over, they told us to cut it out. And so the embedded CTE program is absolutely essential to making this plan work, because if the embedded CTE program is in place, then students in CTE can also get credits for ELA or other subject areas. But if those classes aren't available, then that's an impossibility. And again, the state told us, I think it was, that we were administering our embedded CTEs incorrectly or something. And in any event, they told us to cut it out. And so before we go forward with this plan, I think it would be really smart for us to make sure, one, that the state approves us of having this embedded CTE program in place, and that in fact they approve it. Lastly, and kind of to where my daughter Willa was going, is this whole thing also needs, in other words, the students need to want to take the embedded CTE classes. Even if we can get to the block schedule, and even if the state approves the embedded classes that we're offering, if there's no enrollment in those classes, then the teachers are completely overwhelmed and the schedule hits the wall. So before we put this plan in place as to the teachers, I really think those 3 issues really need to be determined and settled, and the state needs to sign off of it so that we can go forward with that. With regard to the counselor, we don't want to see that eliminated. We appreciate the superintendent's letter to the public indicating that the idea of the graduation coach, that's a wonderful idea. The only thing that we would ask, if we're going to see the elimination of this counselor job, to put it to also on the schedule to have the creation of the new job. To eliminate this job without creating the new job in the same agenda simply gives us real concern. Lastly, with all of these jobs, just because we don't have certified people to fill them doesn't necessarily mean we should do away with them. I mean, we don't have to staff them if we don't need them. But to do away with them entirely means we stop looking and we stop trying. And we shouldn't do that. Thank you.
Joseph Van Meter.
Members of the board, thank you for allowing me to speak yet again. I want to be honest. Each time I come to these meetings, it becomes harder to believe that what I say as a delegate will change the outcome. I believe last year when I was student representative, communication was clear. Things did get done, and the environment didn't feel so heavy. But I'm here anyway because this issue is bigger than one student, one school year, or even one past administrator. Tonight's agenda proposes abolishing several positions at Pocahontas County. These are not extra positions. These are core supports for students, academically, professionally, and emotionally. When we remove them, students don't just lose classes, they lose stability, guidance, and opportunity. Currently, I am in the business management CT pathway. I've learned crucial tools for building a business or working for one. I've learned how to use two important applications that are needed for the photography business that I run. I've learned how to use Adobe Photoshop and Microsoft Excel. Excel is a necessary tool to be able to navigate. I've used this program to organize clients, including their needs, wants, and what I'm owed. I've also used it in college application processes with organizing what schools I've applied to, if I've been accepted, deferred, or rejected, if I needed to send them my financial aid information, and other deadlines and requirements that they ask for. In the business pathway, we were taught business ethics and communications. We've learned how to send proper emails or memos, how to dress in a business environment, and how to work cohesively as a team, and many other things. I also want to address the reality of what is being proposed as a solution. One rumor that I've heard, but not claiming that is true, is allowing some students to earn an English credit through a CTE course. I want to be very clear, CTE programs are valuable and they serve an important purpose, but they are also not suitable for a full English education. Reading a textbook in welding or business is not the same as learning grammar, understanding independent and dependent clauses, developing critical reading skills, or learning how to write a defendable thesis. These skills are fundamental, and actually are things I've only learned in an advanced placement English class. They follow students into college, the workforce, and civic life. Replacing English classes with something adjacent is not the same as teaching English. Many other countries have students learning multiple languages, and the United States does lack in language education. But learning English from a carpentry safety textbook is not learning English. What concerns me most is the struggle is not unique to our county. Across West Virginia, school systems are under extraordinary strain. Hancock County recently had multiple positions replaced by the state, including their superintendent. Randolph County has received a 6-month extension on their state of emergency, and I believe Rowan County schools are also under a state of emergency. And this list goes on. It's deeply disappointing that our county is included in that list, but it shows this is a systematic issue, one that extends far beyond any single school. I also want to briefly address JROTC. When my family moved here, my parents actually tried to bring JROTC to the high school and were told there was not enough demand. To me, that reality has not changed. Each graduation class averages only 2 or 3 students interested in joining a branch of the military. I struggle to understand how removing core academic classes, English and social studies classes every student depends on, can be justified in favor of a program that historically has not been high demand in this community. Lastly, I want to speak as a student leader. I've served on student council for over 4 years, and I'm the president this year. We are meant to be the voice of our school, yet during that time, we have never had clear or consistent communication with the board office. There is no relationship. That disconnect matters. When students feel unheard, they disengage and trust is lost. I don't say any of this to be dramatic or confrontational. I say it because I care deeply about the school and the community. I may sound tired, because many students are, but we are still here and still speaking and still hoping our voices matter. No amount of inspirational quotes on our walls will fix the school environment until we work through these issues. Thank you.
Last one.
I would want to say something.
Good. Dr. Williams, you want to respond?
I do. I want to just address a few issues, and I actually have some information to pull up. So I want to talk about First of all, our enrollment trends. And if we're paying attention to what's going on right now, we know that the 1400 floor is in jeopardy, serious jeopardy. And I believe it's down to 1200, which is $1.7 million of our budget, of our staffing budget. And I think there's a bill actually going through the legislative branch right now as we talk. As our enrollment decline, representing our enrollment decline, it has been a hot topic even at the state board meeting. Then we look at Pocahontas County High School, and they have also lost 53 students. We've lost 109 countywide. 53 of those students has been lost in enrollment with Pocahontas County High School. When we look at our teachers, good practice is to look at your class enrollment sizes. And really, we should have our class enrollment at least around 10 to 15 students. We have multiple class periods that have 5 students, 5, 7 students, 3 students. So we have some flexibility in our schedule as we look at it right now. And then if we go down to our business numbers, we have some classes with 2, some classes with 4, but we don't have any classes with 10 students in it. So in looking at those enrollment numbers, I wanted to talk about that first. If we can look at graphic 2, please, Ms. Hammonds. So this is our graph that represents the decline in our enrollment in our county, which is significant. Now, a portion of those students that are no longer in our county school system have enrolled in the West Virginia Virtual Academy and in other homeschool programs. So certainly we have the possibility of attracting those students back. And then if we look at our enrollment in Pocahontas County High School, we can see that there's been a decline over the last few years. And I do believe that is because for 2 years, and speaking to the students, it has been a mess. I mean, we have had some issues at your school, and I recognize that. And it has to have been traumatic. You have gone through, and the staff has gone through various situations, and those situations actually started with the school schedule, I believe. I believe that's where they originated, was there. So in looking at working on the school schedule, talking to the staff at the school, meeting with the staff at the school, they have come to me and asked me about the block schedule because it is hurting some of our CTE courses, the way that students are having to choose between AP classes or advanced classes and CTE programs. We want our students to have an opportunity to participate in whatever program. I mean, they obviously won't be able to do everything they want, but there needs to be more flexibility in that schedule, and it needs to be built correctly. It hasn't been done correctly for, I would say, 3 or 4 years now. I would say that that's the time period that we're looking at. In no way, shape, form, or fashion are we cutting any AP coursework. If we're going to do anything for our high school students, we're going to add dual credit college coursework, which they haven't had an opportunity to participate in the past. So looking at classroom averages for our social studies position, and I want to say our social studies position does not have a certified teacher in it, and we have not been able to get a certified teacher. Same with our English position, same with our business position. Those positions are not going away forever, but we need to look at how we can better utilize those positions. They may come back as an English teacher. They may come back as an English and a social studies combined teacher. There's a variety of ways to look at it. We are getting ready to start personnel season. And the first thing you have to look at is the personnel that you have that you're not utilizing and how you can better utilize those staff members. This slide is showing the average class, the average size per class period. So you can still see that if we have 3 teachers, we still have really low average class sizes. I was a social studies and a political science teacher. I know that collaboration in those classes and studying concepts requires a little more students. I wanted to have about 15 to 20 kids in my class because you grow from the discussion. That's how you grow in those classes, is having those alternate views and discussing them. The same with our ELA classes. We can see that there's we have a couple of periods that's below on average of 10 students. So we really, again, we should have class periods. And when I first took the job and they were working on the class periods, I thought we were eliminating any class periods that were under 10 students. I can now see why we didn't do that, because there's so many class periods that are under 10 students. And the way the schedule was set up was the best possible way that people knew how to set it up at that time. So they did the best possible job that they could do at that time. And kids were put into their schedules by a random machine. They were scheduled by the machine. They were not put in there by a counselor, by a principal, or hand scheduled. Now, I worked at Eastern Greenbrier Middle School, and we hand scheduled a lot of our students because that scheduler is not always accurate. You have to go back and individually review each and every student's schedule. So for scheduling last year in Braxton County, I know we had to go back. We built a schedule, then we had to go back and refine that. So again, with our business, our class size is 2, 7, 4, 7, 6, 0. That's a planning period that we don't have that. So if we could move on to the next graphic. So for those that don't like all the bar graph and the average, so this is showing you average class sizes for our students in ELA and in social studies. And up there at the top where it says 14.7. And I had a little bit of a hard time getting my graph to adjust so that the people could see that. We can see that we still have significant room in our schedule because we have extremely small class sizes. Now, the argument is usually put into place that smaller class sizes are better. But recently I've been to the high school and we have 56 students that are in jeopardy of not getting their first semester credit. Parents are being contacted by Ms. Bland. So if class sizes were the difference maker in this particular case, we would not have so many students that were in small classes that are not getting in jeopardy of not getting their credit first semester. So the last thing I want to show you, and this is just a mock-up, this is if we had below the current averages with 3 students counting only active sessions versus a hypothetical average of 2 teachers in those positions. What are the class sizes going to blow up? Are we going to have 30 kids in the class? Well, if we look at this, we can see that if we had 2 teachers right now at the high school for each of these positions, the maximum students in first period would be 20. The maximum students in second period would be equal to the number of students that's in the period already. Same for third, an addition of 6.5 in fourth, fifth, same, equal, extra students, 20 students instead of 13, 6.7, and then an increase to 13 students in the seventh period. And that's our social studies schedule. If we were hypothetically with just 2 teachers right now, if we move down to ELA, again, 15 students, that would be the maximum class size in first period. 18 students, maximum class size in second period. 22 students would be the maximum class size in third. 17 would be equal. 14.5 in fifth. 11.5, which is a decrease. And it's just because of the way the schedule goes and the way that things are offered, a decrease of 11.5 in that period. And we can see that those students have bumped up 7.3 of them. They've been spread out through the other classes. And then in seventh period, we have 18. The maximum size would be 18. Now that's hypothetical. Doesn't mean we're just going to have 2 English teachers. Nothing, that doesn't mean. But in order to form a plan to share with the public, first we have to start the mechanism of getting ready to do the plan. With that stated, I'm going to read a statement because I do believe the community deserves a response to our delegations, and our delegations deserve a response from the superintendent when they present. So I want to clarify that we are not yet in personnel season, but we are starting the beginnings of planning for next school year. The process started by speaking with the staff about the high school schedule and the programs. The high school staff has expressed their interest in moving back to a form of block scheduling to support CTE and achievement. We also need to address programs and ensure that all students have access to opportunities for college and career development. All students, even if you don't have the means to leave Pocahontas County Schools, you should have an opportunity to earn a degree. Other students in high schools across the state have an opportunity to earn an associate's degree at the end of 12th grade, or to start most of their coursework and just have a semester of school left. We have to provide that for our students. And I know it's hard to trust that because it hasn't happened before, but it can and it will happen. We still have about a month before we begin a full review of staffing and personnel data. That said, the positions included on tonight's agenda are ones that have not been filled this year, and many of them were not filled last year either. These are vacant positions. These cuts would not impact a currently employed teacher. I believe this is a minimum impact to our students. It would be short-sighted not to pause and evaluate positions that have remained vacant for extended periods of time. If we are unable to staff positions with content-certified full-time employees, those positions are ultimately not serving our students in the way they are intended. The same consideration applies to the position at Hillsborough. That role has gone unfilled all year. And after speaking with the principal, we agreed that position needed to be revisited and potentially reconfigured because the position has not been filled. I am able to abolish it to thoughtfully restructure it in a way that better supports that school. With respect to the Green Bank's assistant principal's position, the federal funding that supported that role has ended. Those funds are no longer available to the school system. The position was always intended to be temporary while the school was receiving improvement funds. And the school was aware from the beginning that the funds were not permanent due to the nature of the improvement cycle. I spoke with the principal at the start of the year and again when the assistant principal's position was vacated. Given the fact that the funding source has ended, I will not recommend replacing that position. There are a few important points I want the community to please keep in mind. One, as we move fully into personnel season, I will bring the Board of Education staffing comparisons of similar schools throughout our region. I will also present the board information tonight on enrollment trends and class sizes at the high school. I want all decisions made with context and transparency. The 1,400 student enrollment floor is currently under review. It has been a topic at the state board meeting specifically referencing Pocahontas County, and there is currently a bill to change the funding. I do not believe that the 1,400 funding for our county will be a continued luxury in the years to come. So we must manage our personnel as it impacts our budget. Personnel consumes 80% of any school system's budget, so it must align with student enrollments. We are moving in a positive direction towards exiting our state of emergency, but that progress requires difficult decisions and careful management of our resources. Ultimately, we must manage and regulate ourselves, or others will manage and regulate us. The board and the community have made some important decisions, and I respect those decisions. The board and community have made the intentional decision not to convert the high school into a 6-12 model and not to close smaller schools. That choice requires responsible management of our resources, including maintaining flexibility in our budget to respond to unexpected needs, such as adding special education teachers and/or special education aides when circumstances arrive. We never know when a student's going to move into our county and we will require another teacher and another aide for that student. It is up on us to fund those positions. I want to assure the community that I am committed to working closely with our schools and the Board of Education to ensure that every school has the resources it needs based on their enrollment. I want to acknowledge that there is often a difference between wants and needs, and that can be a difficult reality to navigate, both for myself, for the board, for the community, for the students, for the teachers, for everyone involved. it is difficult to navigate that situation. As a final thought, I urge our community to turn away from social media posts that undermines responsible practices. Narrowing the focus to a few isolated issues without examining the system as a whole, it is harmful both to our school system and to our county. Social media cannot be allowed to influence administrative decisions. Too often it is used to impede responsible decisions while being framed as a concern. As our community, we must be cautious about accepting information that is shared without a comprehensive understanding of policies and procedures. Funding for personnel decisions are complex and very nuanced. At times, even I must consult with the attorneys and the state leaders to ensure that I fully understand the many factors involved in funding streams and the funding formula. We have seen, as you pointed out, many counties are under takeover because they don't understand the funding formula. As superintendent, I am about the business of children. I want the community and the school employees to know that I will lead with transparency in all decisions. When we talk about being stronger together, we have to understand policies and procedures, and some of those I have to work really hard to ensure I'm leading the county in the right direction. Thank you.
We're up to number 4, recognitions.
Absolutely.
A, you go ahead and read them. A is PCHS All-State Fall Athletes.
Yes. So here they are. I'm going to read the names of all the folks that are at Allstate. I understand that several of them could not come tonight. And Mr. Kerber sent us a photo that will be placed online. I'm going to read their names, and then I believe we have one student that is here. We'll get his picture taken before. Would you like to come up and get ready for your picture? If you'll come right.
You want us in front?
Yes, please, sir.
Sit down. You can sit here.
We're going to start off with our first athlete. There is Wade Garber, in recognition for outstanding dedication, leadership, and athletic excellence, resulting in selection to the following all-state athletic team. Boys soccer first team. Congratulations.
Good job. Huh? Right here.
Right here. Who is that?
He's a menace to soccer menace.
Oh, I forgot you, referee.
Yeah, we done?
Yeah, he's back there. So other students that I would like to recognize tonight that are not able to be here is Griffin Taylor, Hayden Moore, Shayla Bennett, Riley Hassel,
Yes.
Allison Taylor, Chloe Arnett, Annette, is that correct? Kristen Osteen, Luke Taylor, Quincy Sharp, Hayden Wayne, and Ramona Hardy. Would you like her to take her?
Yeah. Thank you.
I just want to say that I think that athletes have a special gift. A lot of work, a lot of dedication goes into that. And I recognize that, and I think our athletes are participating in our sports. I believe our next one, Ms. Shiplett's going to come up, and we're going to recognize our teachers from first semester that have perfect attendance. We often talk about students with perfect attendance, But we forget to recognize our staff that is dedicated every day to coming to our school and makes a difference. You might have to say, do we have some speakers here?
Yes.
We do not want our picture taken.
I'm sorry, Missy.
Shaking my week.
Oh, my God.
Perfect board members, come on up here. I mean, this is a big deal that we have some speakers with this. You want me to read all the names from all the schools? Yes, please.
Oh, God.
You have to.
All right, so this is from Green Bay. We have Kristen Bayer, Melissa Jordan, Joseph Judy, Jessica Oxier, Carolyn Pennington, Leah Shinneberry, Kimberly Tolliver, and that's the list from Green Bay.
So Green Bay, how many was that, Ms. Shipler? Do you know? So let's give a huge round of applause.
I've got it in alphabetical.
Okay,
So I've got Gilbert,
okay.
I've got Gary Hickman, and Karen Lockhart.
Huge.
Okay, Marlinsville Elementary, I have Stephanie Ames, Katie Gross, Samantha Feather, Joe Autumn Goldgeisel, Lorena Jordan, and Blake Stopper. I have Joanna Burke Kinderman.
You want to shake her hand?
Thank you. Good. Joanna, would you like your picture taken or?
No, we've also got our Christy Hammonds who's running the. Give me that camera.
Christy, are you come up here and shake our hands or no? Come on, Christy. Christy, you want your picture taken?
Melissa Hill,
Come on.
we also have Kimberly Jordan, Jessica McNabb, and Larry Shaw.
Thank you.
Good job, Miss.
Thank you.
Good job. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, and last but not least, this Pocahontas County High School is Andrew Brill, Alexander Hummel, Justin Kerr, and Tristan Taylor.
Good job. Lead by example. Morning. It's a big deal because teachers are,
Yeah.
they're incredibly busy. They all got kids.
Item number 5 on the agenda is. Item number 5 on the agenda is school improvement updates. A spring collaboration dates are scheduled. Topics that will be covered are Excel, PCHS, specialty designed instruction, SDI, co-teaching classroom management, PBIS, CHAMPS, and policy 2419 review and MTSS. And then on B is the attendance report.
So, we are continuing to focus on our special circumstance review and our special education monitoring. Prior to Thanksgiving, we did 3 trainings. We did a training on specially designed instruction, CHAMPS, and co-teaching. We are following up on that within our collaboration time to make sure that that's embedded and we start to see those practices in the classroom. Mr. Anderson is leading a 2419 policy review because that was something that we had to do for our special circumstances review. And it's something to do because it's the right thing to do. We need to make sure that we know how to serve our special education students and we are putting our best foot forward to improve our achievement with those students and do what's right. So then our next thing, we have been on intensive intervention and Mrs. Dunlap has worked diligently for our attendance. So she's going to come up and talk to us about our attendance report and where we were and where we are and how much we've improved.
So what I did, when I started talking about this, we was at last week, so it was like the 78th day of school that we had. So what I did was I went back and I pulled the first 78 days of school last year. So I just wanted to show you where we compare from last year to this year. We actually have 3 schools that have dropped significantly in their chronic absenteeism. For example, Hillsborough last year at first 78 days was sitting at 27.77% chronic absenteeism. This year they're saying 19.
Usually.
So that's a significant difference. So over 19%. Green Bay is holding steady. They're about the same. They started out the year unfortunately with a little bit of illness, but they're sitting at 21.35. Right now they're at 21.53 for this year. Marlington Elementary School last year was sitting at 31.65%. This year we're currently sitting at 20.3%. They're down 11.35%. Marlington Middle last year at this time, at 78 days was at 36.84%. They are currently sitting at 18.96%, so they dropped 17.87%.
Wow.
The high school last year was sitting at 35.78%. This year they're sitting at 37.15%. They've had a little bit of increase compared to last year, but I think that things are improving. They are working on phone calls home, getting notes in, meetings, and this will that today she was really pleased with some of the outcomes of the last couple of weeks, with having that communication and that face-to-face contact. So she feels confident that things are getting better for them. So overall for our county, we are sitting at a decrease. You know, last year at this time we were sitting at 31.21%, and we are currently at 24.69, which is not below 15% that they would like to see for chronic absenteeism, but a significant difference from what we were at last year at this time. And I feel like we are going in a positive direction. All the schools are working with families, reaching out, making meaningful contact, and it's making a difference.
Thank you, Ms. Dunlap. Any questions for Ms. Dunlap?
Isn't that great? That's great.
Yep, good job.
That's our teachers right there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, number 6 is the consent agenda item. A is approval of the agenda. B, payment of bills subject to additions, deletions, or other changes prior to the board meeting. A, payment of vendor listing, $189,981.51. Payment of P card, $176,123.27. January 6, 2026 employee payroll, $270,440.51. Bank reconciliation for December 2025 grant awards. F is budget adjustments, and D is budget transfers and supplements subject to additions, deletions, or other prior to the board meeting. Do I have a motion? So moved. Mr. McCombs made the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Dr. Hollingsworth seconded. Any questions on any of the ones I just read? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Number 7 is personnel matters.
And I'd like to ask for executive session on legal matters or personnel.
I'll second it. At this time, Mr. McCombs has asked for an executive session on a legal matter, and Mr. McNabb has seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. We will now go into executive session. Tell me when you're ready, Chrissy. Do I have a motion come out of executive session into regular session?
So moved.
Mr. McCombs has made the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. McNabb seconded it. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Motion carries. We are now coming out at 7:15. All right, personnel matters. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Mr. McCombs made a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. McNabb seconded it. Ollie, you're up.
Ron Hall is administrative substitute, Oklahoma County School Detective performing successful background check. The following is substitute teacher in Pocahontas County Schools at the state basic professional salary for the 25-26 school year. As needed will be Sarah Eads. We have the custodian 3 at Pocahontas County High School and the secretary 3 accountant 3 at Pocahontas County High School. Service positions that are still available, but we are in the process of hiring individuals for those positions. Other recommendations, Daryl Shinneberry for unpaid medical leave for Pocahontas County Schools effective January 2nd, 2026 for a period of up to 12 weeks. Michelle Rose for unpaid medical leave for Pocahontas County Schools effective February 23rd, 2026 for a period of up to 12 weeks. And James Cheney for personal leave for Pocahontas County Schools effective January 12th, 2026 for a period of up to 12 weeks.
Any questions on personnel?
Do we have any, are the 7 positions included in this vote? Or no, just what she listed there? Just what she listed. Okay.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Number 8 is superintendent report, general updates and legislative updates, 1400 funding floor.
So for my general update, I wanted to pull up and share with the public the artwork for, 1 minute on that. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and move to B and then we'll come back to that. There has been multiple articles discussing the funding floor, and Pocahontas County Schools gets approximately $3.6 million, Sarah. In additional funding, we have 833 students. We get funding for an addition. I'm looking at you just to make sure my numbers are right because you're a number girl. We get an additional 532 students. We received the bill that's in the legislation right now. Sarah, you want to say anything about it?
At this point, they're trying to keep it at 14, but they brought it up to drop it to 12. If it goes to 1,200, that's going to be a chunk away from us.
About $1.7 million.
All the other counties are looking at us hoping we can.
There's 7 counties that, well, no, there's 13 counties now that got that, right? It's added every year. Us, Pendleton, Tucker, that's 3 that's close to us. And I don't real, Tyler, yeah, there was originally 7. But since the population has dropped.
Joined in.
We get the greatest amount of funding, and we also are the county that lost the greatest amount of students last year. We had lost 60 students. So we get the most funding and we lost the most students in our enrollment. And I think what people don't realize is that while that funding floor for 1,400 stays there, we have step 7B, which is for our technology. We lose funding for every student we lost for that. We have our federal program for just Title I, Title II, Title IV, Title V. We lose an amount for those programs, our federal programs, at 60 students. So we are losing an astronomical amount of money, even though we're keeping that funding floor. We're losing money in other areas. For example, we have 9 positions that are funded through federal programs. So if the funding floor goes down and federal programs goes down, then we have to start really looking at how we slide those in. And we're probably going to have to look at that anyway this year. So what I wanted to show you, any questions on there's an article I included for everybody. It was the first article that came out. There's been a lot more articles, but just to keep everybody aware of the situation. I wanted to show you the artwork that we received.
Let's back up to funding there. What about the Fed? What's the word on the federal funding? Is that gone or is that flowing now or has that been reinstated or what?
No,
No.
the federal funding is in flex. And here's what's going on with that. There's some reorganizing at the federal level. And I believe the discussion, Mr. Anderson, is that special education may be sent to the Department of Health and Human Resources. So, correct? So that is a shift in where that funding comes from, which will more than likely shift how much funding we get. We haven't got the final word on that. Our federal programs funding has also been frozen. They're looking at how much you get. And we're going to get funding for 60 less students already because we lost 60 students. So those two funding sources, we are being cautioned in each of the superintendent's updates. And they are discussing it regularly at the state board meeting. I tune in to watch the state board meeting, so I'm abreast of the funding issues. So those two funding sources are also uncertain at this time.
I tell you, like I say, and it goes back to some of this other stuff. If we start, I mean, there's two of our major things. If we lose those, thank you for being proactive because we're going to have to start watching or we're going to be in shape the rest of these counties are. We're going to get taken over.
I don't think a
We're
lot
not
of
going
people,
to fund ourselves.
I don't think a lot of people realize that we got to carry a surplus. We cannot go into red.
17% of
Yeah.
our budget has
Yeah.
to be carried over.
We got to carry over 17% of our
Correct,
budget.
Sarah?
And, you know, sometimes that's quite a bit of money because you're talking about $25 million budget.
And they talk about some other counties that are low in their carryover and one disaster away from not
What-
being financially dependent.
What really brought a lot of this is this Hancock County, that come up, that was $8 million over budget and couldn't pay their teachers. And that is really putting an eye on everybody right now. You know, if they cut it to 1,200 students, that's 1.7 million. The reason we got that money years ago was because we picked up less students per square mile than a lot of the other counties. That was a transportation need is the reason that come into play. But now, we'll just say 13 counties are doing it, that's been added to that. And the people that got us that is not around anymore to fight for us.
And I believe, Sarah, we've gotten a portion of it, but have we gotten all of our federal force money?
Oh, you won't get it
We've
to
not gotten all of it, we have gotten some.
We've gotten some, so we've already had that. And that's another reason, as the funding sources come in, there's no reason to get the entire community worried about money. But when Sarah went over our budget, she talked about that. She talked about those funding sources. She talked about how much we have. So we are dealing with some funding issues.
What did we get from federal for the Forest Service and Lewis taxes this time? What's the total we're supposed to get? Do you have any idea? 379,000.
So we've gotten.
So they haven't cut it from 1 year.
Portion of what we usually get.
Well, no, we never got to get, but
What do we usually get?
That would be nice. We haven't gotten that. Wow.
that's what I was gonna say. Each year they've cut it. And that can't be included in the budget unless it comes in beforehand. No, you can't. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Sure. Go ahead.
Ollie, did we have the picture of those, that artwork in this? Oh, yes, we do. In the very back, it's not in color, but in the very back under handout E, is the artwork, that Pendleton, paid for our school system. This is the score table, the very first one. And then the next one is the chair. They are absolutely gorgeous in the school colors. So whenever you see our representatives from Pendleton Bank, please give them a shout out for just the amazing things they're doing. We'll release this online, Christy, later, so that everybody can see it because it's actually,
Right here.
well, it's just not in color, so. But I did want to share that and say
I couldn't.
thank you to the bank for what they have released, for helping us with that because they're beautiful. And I'm very grateful for community support.
That it?
That's it.
Okay, old business discussion or action of policy 5223 absences for religious orientation ordinances and instruction, final reading. B, discussion and action of policy 75040.02 digital content and accessibility, final reading. Do I have a motion? They made. Mr. McCollum made a motion. I have a second. Dr. Hollingsworth seconded. Anything you want to tell us about this or any questions or about it?
No, Christy can probably help me out a little bit with policy 754002. This is a regulation policy for all of the counties, because we have to be compliant with ADA. I was a little nervous because I thought we had to be compliant in April. Then Christy sprung on me, Dr. Williams, we don't have to be compliant till next year. But Christy, would you like to say a little bit about that policy?
So, down to Charleston in December to talk about the ADA compliance for digital items. That includes our social media, our website, and make sure that we're gonna meet this compliance rule that's coming out from the Department of Justice. That make sure that all of our content is accessible. And so what we mean by that is people with low vision, people that use screen readers, so that our content meets certain guidelines, you know, that we have alternative text on a photo. So if I put a photo up, I have to have some sort of description behind that for an alt text reader. So someone that's low vision can understand what that photo is telling. If we put up a photo of a flyer, we have to have alternative text so people can access that. Counties that are bigger, by April 2026, have to be in compliance with all of these rules. The Department of Ed has worked really hard this past year to get compliant with most of the rules. They are still not going to meet, they feel like, all of the rules. For instance, in the rules that we're in right now, when we record those, we are supposed to have closed captioning that identifies every single speaker in the meeting. The Department of Education spent one whole day doing 5 minutes of a video trying to designate each speaker on the video. There are some really tough things that we have to meet to make our content accessible to everyone. So we're going to start on it early. We have a year ahead of a lot of these people. So we're going to do a training with our principals coming up this week about how we can get ahead of it. Make sure we are putting things out now that are accessible going forward.
So that's the gist of why we have that policy on the agenda.
Any questions? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Yeah.
Motion carries. New business. A, approval of fundraisers. B, approval of out-of-county, out-of-state and overnight field trips. C, discussing action to request to post a media specialist for the 21st Century Grant Program to be paid for by the 21st Century Grant Program. Discussion or action permission to abolish for the 26-27 school year. Teacher of ELA, Pocahontas County High School. Teacher of Social Studies, Pocahontas County High School. Teacher of ECT Business Management and Administration at Pocahontas County High School. Counselor, Pocahontas County High School. Counselor at Greenbank Elementary Middle. Assistant Principal at Greenbank Elementary Middle. Funding source has ended. Teacher of Multiple Subjects, 4th grade, Greenbank Elementary Middle School. And H is Teacher of Special Education Multi-Subjects, Hillsborough Elementary. And E is just a review of the PCH artwork for the new gym. Do I have a motion?
Okay.
Mr. McCombs made the motion. Do I have a second?
A second.
Mr. McNabb seconded. Any questions?
Yeah, I got some stuff on that, starting with the fundraisers. Where's the fundraiser page at?
It is in,
Yeah.
each of the fundraisers are attached.
It's in
In the packet. What sort are they at? Let's see here.
Thunder.
Number 10.
10A.
Okay. I mean, that's been a big source of contention here lately. Brown. Okay. Hat Day. There's a bunch of them here.
Yeah,
Okay.
lots of fundraisers.
Yeah, and also I would like to pull out D on this. I got some stuff on number D I'd like to talk about. And I'd like it to be voted separately from the other ones if we can.
We can do that. D,
D, number D, the abolishing teacher position.
well, D is counselor.
Well, no.
No.
No, D is.
The big D at the top. Okay, what's, okay, well, we'll just vote on A, B, C, and E. Okay, and we'll hold the rest of them and vote on them separate, all right? Okay, we're voting on A, B, C, and E. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries. Now, you want a discussion, Sam, or do you want to vote?
No, I want a discussion.
All right, let's discuss A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, and H. What's your discussion?
Well, number D on the position, on the elimination of this teaching positions. You know, I think everybody in the world knows that, you know, budgets are tightening down. Certainly everybody's paid attention to the state. And now the feds have frozen all of our assets. I don't think anybody's questioning the need to tighten down. It's just, I feel that we have handled this totally wrong, going about it the wrong way. And, you know, I have some concerns about this, starting with about 6 weeks ago, we approved had some concerns. We were talking about the resource officer. And, you know, we didn't know how much, you didn't know how much it was going to cost. And I asked you about the budget and you come back, it cost $133,000. And I said, okay. So in my mind, and this is how
Now,
naive.
that was for two.
That was for two. That's
Well, we
correct.
got one, right?
That's right. So in my mind, this is how naive I am. I'm thinking that, okay, the president and the superintendent are pushing forward a plan to hire 2 new service personnel. So I'm thinking our financial situation apparently is pretty solid that we're thinking about hiring 2 more people. Well, we trip along, you know, we have the issue with the revision of the email policy, which totally pissed off the whole entire planet. We pulled that. We lost a lot of trust there. And then exactly next 2 weeks, we come out, the agenda comes out with abolishment, advisory to abolish 7 positions. And so I'm like, wait a minute, we just added 2 jobs, voted to add 2 jobs, and now we're going to add coming back. And so tonight, and so I've been thinking about this. You know, there's a lot of questions here, you know, and it's now, and now it all boils back to money and accountability to money. So let's talk about that for a few minutes. You know, we have in the past year, or as long as we've been in this emergency situation at the high school, we have hired more consultants and consultants fees than and who knows how much have we spent on that? Does anybody know how much we spent on consultant fees?
I should pull the exact number.
Well, I would like to do that, and I'm going to mention that here in a little while. We've added staff to the central office. We have made improvements across the whole spectrum of our schools, including the board office here, which, you know, I get that some of them were necessary to be in compliance with it, but we can sell this building. This building is fluid. It does not house one student achievement in this house. We do not have to have a renovated central office. We do not have to have renovated office restrooms at the high school. So what I'd like to do, there's several points here I want to bring up in a motion. I want to present a motion. I'd like the board to support me in a motion here in a little bit. But Mrs. Young, Willa Hardy had a great idea earlier. She suggested to practice a pause and come back. And I want to ask the board to wait on this vote for these 7 teachers until after we find some more data. And I would like, at this time, I'd like to, Mr. President and Ms. Superintendent, I would like to formally ask for support from my board members, a motion in the form of, I would make the motion to request Dr. Williams to provide budget data and analysis on these 7 positions, how much they cost, and how much the positions will save once eliminated. And please factor in admin and aid costs as well. I would like to ask Mrs. Williams to provide docs and policy from the state and our county on guidance counselor at schools, especially high schools. Somewhere out there, there's policy. I want to know what the exact policy says as far as what it says.
You got that policy.
Number 3, provide current budget data on all current 261 contracts, including supplements. I want to know where how many positions we have of those in our county. And I want to know what the supplements are and what their costing us. Dr. Williams, I want you to provide us with state guidelines on required 261 contracts and what the state requires us to have in that world.
You're talking about 261 day contracts?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I want you to, Dr. Williams, I want you to provide actual to-date costs of all consulting fees starting when the emergency situation of the high school started and to date. You know, and here's also what I want to know concerning our pro officer. I would like Mrs. Williams to provide data from Weavis on our log level 3 and 4 offenses. And please break that down for each facility. And also, I want you to list how many times that actual police officers were called to our schools to confront a threat. And that's really all I have. I think that those answers, we could really go a long way in clarifying, and especially brought up since you brought up the RIF discussion earlier. Yeah, I'd like to.
There's nobody rifting. Nobody's getting rifted. Number one, I have pushed for a pro officer ever since I come on the board. Since before Dr. Williams was here. Pocahontas County High School is 20 minutes from anywhere.
Well, we know this, sir.
Well, you know this. I don't know what kind of a price, Mr. Gibson, you put on student safety. Because we hear about it happening all over the country. We say, well, it can't happen here. No, I'm not going to
stick
stop.
with the facts.
Because I think we need that.
Let's stick with the facts. I want to see the data from Weavis.
It only takes one.
Listen,
It only takes
stop it.
one.
Stop. That's not up for discussion.
All right, let's put it this way. What motion are you making?
I just went through that. I'm making a motion to request the previous requested data from Dr. Williams and to postpone the vote till next meeting.
Mr. Gibson has made this motion. Do I have a second? The motion dies for lack of a second.
Get the data.
I'm not opposed to tabling it,
I am opposed to all those little
This
details.
is discovery information that we should be talking about before we make decisions.
Discovery information you should listen to because we've had it.
Yeah. We have not talked about that. We had not talked about eliminating 7 jobs.
Okay, all right.
Imagine that.
Since Mr. Gibson's motion dies for lack of a second, we will be voting on A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and H. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Let the record show that Mr. Gibson voted against it.
Right.
Okay. Motion carries. Number 4, board members' remarks. Mr. Gibson.
Just incredibly, you know. And you said something earlier, Mr. Grimes, we were not dealing with the entitled. None of these students here, none of these people, none of our students are entitled. They worked their asses off to have what they had. And, you know, that was wrong. Thank you.
Anything else?
No.
Mr. Munell?
I just want to thank Dr. Williams for looking ahead, and let's move forward. And still got 110% faith in you.
Mr. McCombs?
The thing gets me is we have these discussions over and over and over again. We live in a technological world and we have groups that comes, and I think everyone here is dedicated to the students of Pocahontas County. Wouldn't be here if we didn't care about education.
Absolutely.
But every time we turn around, there's a group sitting out there trying to make the board members and the central office look like they hate kids and want no one to have anything. I mean, if there was a certified guidance counselor out there that would apply, we'd all jump for joy. But we can't just pull them out of the air. We can't just pull money out of the air. And you know, I was sitting here thinking, when I went to high school, there was 600 something, right, Frosty?
Yes, sir. You are correct.
We had 3 math teachers and 3 English teachers. People went to college, they were successful. I pillow-powdered along and went, when I was 40-some years old, to take a test to be a BOE teacher and made an 86 on English and an 89 on math. So I don't think it boils down to we have to have this class, this class, this class. We have to get back where every student is important. Every student gets what they need. I'm all for AP classes. I'm all for college classes. It helps parents. It helps me when my child had it. But who knows where the other 68 of the kids in graduate class don't go? They should be able, in 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road, if they get in a car accident, they can't physically work, they should be able to take classes and know what they are doing. And we've lost sight of that. I'm gonna get off my soapbox.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Hollingsworth.
Okay, about these position, the abolish. This is not set in stone. I mean, we're going to abolish them now. It doesn't mean that when the new schedule is made or when a counselor applies, that we won't hire them. You know, I'd be thrilled if we had a counselor apply to our school system. I know there's a young lady who, don't ask me her name or where she lives, because I don't know, but she's got her degree and is working on her master's in counseling and wants to do that here in this county. So we're not shutting the door on all of these positions permanently. April, and we say, oh, wait a minute, we can hire some of this back. And then, and like the teacher of special ed at Hillsborough, 10 students don't need 1.5 teachers, even if they are special needs. You know, you can deal with 10 students. So, you know, some of it's excess, some of it's necessary, and we're going to find out that it is essential and fix it. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Let me clarify this for you, Mr. Gibson. Whenever I say entitled, I want all the children in Pocahontas County to have the same opportunity, not just a few. And I do think some kids is better off than others in this county. We all know that. We see it every day. We see parents who care about their kids. It's going to support them in whatever they are about to do, whether it's football, basketball, or something academically. And then we see some of our kids that get no support from home or live with their grandparents. So there is a difference. But sitting on this board, we've got to support all of them and do the best we can to get them all through our school with the best education that we can give them possible. All right. Our next board, huh?
Yeah, do they?
I can't do that yet. Adjournment, next board meeting, we're going to adjourn. The next board meeting will be February the 3rd, 2026, Pocahontas County Board of Education, conference room at 6 p.m.
Tab 3. 3 bed.
You will say.